Hello and welcome to Dukascopy TV. I'm Andrew Saks-McLeod from LeapRate, and this is the Forex Industry Talk Show. And I'm joined today in the studio by Tom Higgins, CEO of Goldeye.
Hello there.
Hi, Tom. And Marc Spaelti, CEO of Dukascopy Bank. Hi, Marc.
Hi, Andrew.
Trading platforms. Nowadays, things have really moved on from the days where the still ubiquitous MetaTrader 4 platform dominated the entire market. It's still very dominant, but there have been many new entries into the market. And it's really a question of why that is and what really has created such platform diversity over the last year, actually, really.
Now, are you asking why there's MT4 is still predominant in the market, or why have there so many developments?
There you go. You see, there's a question. MT4, I would still say, is probably 60 to 70%, but I think it's to do with the EA capability, because a lot of adjustments have to be made to the MT4 to make it suit specific companies' trading environments. So I'm sure it's to do with the automated systems that can be attached to it. But nowadays there are other trading platforms that also have app-based systems and various integration to EAs. So trading platform diversity is a big subject. What do you think about that?
I agree. I mean, obviously, for Dukascopy, where we have our own trading platform, where we have worked on ways of directly integrating certain EAs. The more complex ones, it's a bit more tricky, but relatively simple EAs can be run directly in our platform. We've also come with our own product where the client can build his trading strategy called Visual JForex. We're of course trying to compete against the EAs now. I do think that you're right to a certain point. It's the EA that is making that platform very popular. On the other hand, we also talking to clients on a day-to-day basis, we notice that generally they're not very flexible in changing the look of the platform. They're getting used to a certain look, and although the buy and sell buttons are more or less positioned at the same place on all the platforms, there is not all that much will to go and move on and take the platform.
But does it really matter? Ergonomics is important. Does it really matter about being stuck religiously to one particular platform? If you can go to Tom, for example, and buy a whole solution, including a bridge and an integration, and have less cost per million, as if you were stuck with a original legacy system that's offered by a traditional closed dealing desk only brokerage that uses MT4's entire solution, what's best?
I mean, I think you put the point right there. I've been trading in this foreign exchange markets before trading platforms even existed. Throughout the years, I've traded on the oldest electronic broking system there was. I've traded with Dealing 2000, the Reuters Dealing 2000, on the Bloomberg, on the different bank platforms. None of them look anything like an MT4. I mean, once again, there's a buy and sell button, but there's not necessarily integrated charts. We, of course, as soon as you go to the institutional world, you don't have integrated position reports, because then you'll have a bank report coming in. It looks completely different. So I'm very, very flexible using platforms, and it's never been a problem to me. I don't know, Tom may have something to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the way I've seen it is you've got MT4 is, I think it's more than 60% of the market, to be honest. I think it's probably higher. I think it's more like 70 or 80, actually. And for a long time, other platforms came in and they decided to look like MT4. So they came in and they sort of did a bit of a copy. And so people looked at them and thought, well, yeah, it's okay, but really it's just a copy. It's not really going to give me any benefit. MT4 is very, very cost effective from the broker to buy, and the clients get used to it. As you say, they get used to what the screen looks like. It's a little bit of a religion on which system you're going to use, and if you like MT4, you're going to stick with it. But what's been really good recently, I think, is where new platforms have come in, they've introduced new ideas, and MetaQuotes have been forced to put them into MT4. Yes. So, and then in MetaQuotes then innovate with some new things, which then go into other platforms. And so by having some really good competition, everything gets better. So I think if we hadn't got things like Tradable, I don't think you would have had such a strong app market in MT4.
Definitely, that's a good example.
Been created, the marketplace in MT4 has been created, I think, because Tradable came in with this idea, and MetaQuotes thought this is a good thing. People want to have this, so we'll build a similar sort of idea. Signals trading as well. That's not come from other trading systems, but it's come from other companies like Tradency, where they've got signals trading is obviously very popular. And MetaQuotes thought, okay, this is a good idea. We should do something similar. So we should build it right into the platform. So having competition is really, really effective in innovating and causing innovation across the board. Whether it means people move from one platform to another sort of doesn't really matter. It's the whole ecosystem is getting better and better and better all the time. And that's an important part, I think.
That's a very interesting point, because MetaQuote Marketplace, I certainly think the existence of two particular companies, one was Tradency and the other is Spotware with the C-Trader platform, are responsible for the birth of the MetaTrader Marketplace. So the question isn't really, MetaTrader took that, realised they had fierce competition there, embodied it into the MetaTrader platform, but you now have to, if you're a developer, submit your applications to them for vetting and then they will offer it, rather than the open source aspect of the tradable platform, where you or I, we could go and develop an app ourselves and then just put it in and start using it. And that's that away you go. And there's a lot of appeal. I think that has a lot of appeal, I think.
I agree. I mean, developing apps for all kind of mobile systems, that's been the thing to do in the last 3 to 5 years, obviously. We were, in fact, very extremely successful in implementing our first iPhone app, which within months it was on all traders' desks in all around the banks. Yes. They were almost using that as a reference.
Right.
And we then had the competition copying certain ideas from us and bringing it to the next level, which has again brought our, as you said, our developers to then come up with even better improvements, and it keeps going. So
that's right. I mean, Tradency, if you mentioned Tradency, for example, they started off with signals provision, copy trading. Yes. They now started going towards developing their own trading platform and making an end-to-end enterprise solution. No idea what the take-up rate has been like of this, but it shows that they are wanting to start competing with the platform companies, not just the signal providers. And I think that is to do with MetaQuotes having integrated the marketplace into the MetaTrader platform. So therefore, you've got independent signal providing companies putting their system they developed into MetaQuotes' marketplace, and therefore companies like Tradency will have to start looking at diversification.
Yeah, it's there. I think you could, if you look much further ahead, I think you might see platforms changing from being an application to being more of a service. So it's a service you subscribe to that has a whole load of features, and you use those services rather than buying and installing it like a word processing system or something basic. And that way, they can get an awful lot more when it's running as a service. It's also more profitable for the platform provider, because if you're operating as a service, you can charge transactional fees probably rather than one-offs. And you can really make a lot more money out of it doing it that way. And I think, I mean, the MetaQuotes guys are extremely smart, and I think they will not miss a trick on this one, and they will follow this type of trend, and they will move in this direction. I don't know, because they haven't told me, but that's my feeling.
Yeah, most definitely.
We definitely have been moving in that direction. That instead of offering one full trading platform with everything, that actually breaking into parts of widgets.
Yes.
Now, us not being a software vendor, but the client gets the whole package. Of course, we're not going to break it up and sell it in separate parts, but it's the idea that the platform will become more customizable, because one client may prefer certain widgets and the other client will take other widgets, and the third one will want all of them, etc. So I think that's probably a way to, I don't know how MetaQuotes will be able to, or probably will be, but to follow that fully. Maybe they stumble over their own success because customers are so used to that view.
Yes.
I remember a few years ago they tried to launch MT5, which was a complete failure.
Except for in Russia. Failure ever except for in Russia.
Except for Russia. Okay. Exactly, because it was so popular. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult one, because it looks exactly like MT4.
It does.
Which, I mean, I think that was a mistake, really, because people think, well, it's no different to MT4 because it looks the same. Well, actually, technically underneath, it's very, very different, and it's a very well technically architected platform. Yes. But there's all sorts of reasons why it didn't get picked up. It is probably better aimed at the equities market because it's well structured for trading equities on equity exchanges rather than Forex, ironically. So they see, I think, a good push there. But it should, I think, have looked different because when new technology comes out, you expect it to look different. You expect it to look nicer and smoother and bigger and faster and not the same. So it's a psychological thing, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to see in the future whether this drive has aligned all of them and whether there will be more openness in the trader's mind towards looking at multiple platforms, or whether the cost per million aspect, because of the lack of need for other certain open source technologies and direct API connections, whether this will influence it. And that's a very interesting thing that maybe the industry will look at in the future. But thank you very much for joining us today. Marc Spaelti, COO of Dukascopy Bank, and Tom Higgins, CEO and founder of Goldeye.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. See you soon.
See you again.
I'm Andrew Saks-McLeod from LeapRate. This is Dukascopy TV. You've been watching the Forex Industry Talk Show. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Goodbye.